Okay.
There you go.
Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Village of Lannon Village Board meeting to order on Monday, January 2026 at 7:02 p.m. Everyone will silence their phones and rise for pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, Batiste.
Present.
Grenier,
Here.
Lake,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Summers,
Here.
Willard,
Here.
and Yates is present. Got the full Monty. Item 4, statement of public notice.
Has been posted.
Item 5, discussion of possible action on the reading correction and approval of the minutes from the 12/8/25 village board meeting. Did anyone see any corrections that needed to be made?
I didn't notice any.
A short one.
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 8th of 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the minutes passes. Item 6, committee reports, finance and personnel,
We'll cover under number 14.
legislative.
Nothing at this time.
Item C, parks, rec and beautification.
We did meet and have a committee meeting, before, Christmas. And, we'll be making recommendations to the board, probably in months to come. I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Public safety,
Nothing.
public works, recycling, sewer.
Couple items to note on. So there was from a trash perspective, there was a few complaints that came in reference to Christmas trees or Christmas tree collection. We did reach out to GFL. They gave some correspondence back with pricing on procuring a roll-off dumpster, which could be placed at Village Hall or wherever we request. So I have some pricing on that we could look into. That's the most cost-effective solution if we want to do something from a village perspective for it. Otherwise, if we don't, it would be incumbent upon individual residents to determine the best method to dispose of it. I don't think there's a lot of need for it, but there's some need for it. So that is, again, that would be the most cost-effective route, is to get a roll-off dumpster here. Update in progress for the Whispering Ridge well upgrades. We had the meeting on that this morning. The new generators installed and in place. Automatic transfer switch equipment is all installed and in place. They did the test, the startup and training on that last week. Everything took off well. It was effective. The temporary generator has been disconnected and removed and returned, so it's no longer on site. The next phases for the well improvements are going to be the SCADA system and the automatic control system that gets installed. So they'll be working on that for the next couple of months. And 2 weeks from now, they'll need to install the equipment here at Village Hall for that. So we'll need to get our IT contacts noted and up to date, so that way we can communicate and get what we need to for remote IP access. We also met and talked about the path improvements for the park. I believe Colleen mentioned this. We looked at the routes that were proposed for the pedestrian route. This is part of the Safe Routes to School program. And after meeting with the Lions and the Land and Stoneman. The route that was proposed with some modifications was acceptable. We do need to relocate the sign for the Lions, which is noted on the conceptual plan. But there was some discussion about perhaps modifying slightly the entrance on that bike route up by the field, Snyder Field. There is also a manhole ring that was damaged by snow plowing. We did talk with Mid-City and got some pricing for that. You'll see that on your agenda, which we'll address later tonight. And that's it for today.
Dan, can I ask you, whatever happened, did GFL have a reason why they missed so many people that one day in the beginning of December for garbage pickup?
There was not a reason given, but they said they were gonna come back and make an additional collection.
Okay.
So they told me that they came back and made that additional collection
Okay.
that following day.
I was out of town the next day, so I didn't know. But I was just wondering if they gave a reason why that was missed.
No, unfortunately, I did not get a reason as to why.
Okay.
What was the cost for the roll-off dumpster for the trees?
$275 is the cost for the dumpster, including pickup and removal.
Will they take Christmas trees on large item pickup, or is that
They-
not something they wouldn't take?
GFL would not take Christmas trees on bulk item. It's not considered a bulk item. It would, I think the barter that we would need to do is to bring a yard collection into January. And if you did that, then you would lose a yard collection in your spring and summer, which is probably when the greater majority of the village would want a yard collection.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's probably better off for everybody to just spend the $275 each January and get a dumpster out here.
It's much more cost effective than adding a specific Christmas tree collection from GFL.
How long will that dumpster stay here?
That would be up to us to determine.
Okay.
Yeah, last year, I think it was here a good month. You know.
And I don't know how many trees were in it though.
Yeah,
Not
it
many.
didn't get used hardly at all.
All right, thank you very much. Corey?
No news.
No news is good news. Department reports, clerk's office.
Utility bills, they have been emailed, those have gone out, the utility bills that are being mailed will be mailed tomorrow. We just finished putting postage on them. We're also working on dog licenses, you'll see those coming out, year-end reconciliations, W-2s, quarterly reports, all the good, fun year-end things are going on in the office right now.
Thank you. Police department.
I am also the police department tonight. Brad sent me a little, just to say, Jenna is on a call and unable to make it back into the meeting, so. The Landon Police Department's monthly activity has been distributed to the board. They also want to highlight that their community engagement efforts during Christmas and the holiday season consisted of assisting 5 families between Landon Elementary and St. John's School. Officers volunteered time throughout the year to attend fundraisers where we raised $2,000 in gift cards to give out to families in need during the Christmas season. The school administrators and families were extremely supportive and grateful for their efforts. It has allowed positive growth with our partnership and commitment to the community we serve.
Excellent. I also had a conversation with the chief, couple weeks ago about, along with the reports, they'll give a monthly activity. You'll notice at the end of the report, I've also asked to provide some comparative data, from the previous yearly month. So this one, for example, would show last January, and to compile some longer range cumulative data, just so we can be a little more aware. I think the addition of Officer Horrenda has certainly created a significant uptick in our citations and revenues, so I think it would be good for us to get some visibility into that. So that should be forthcoming. All right, we'll move on then to item number 8, response to citizen comments. I think the big comment was mostly about the flex time policy, which I'll be working with the chief and council. I'd like to see if you folks perhaps have some language that we can model from another municipality in terms of a flex time policy. I would assume that you have something that we can work off of and bring to the finance and personnel and or legislative committee, if it's appropriate. Item 9, citizens comments. This is meant for public comments on any subject without any discussion by Board of Trustee members. I didn't see anything on the sheet. Did we have any citizen comments?
No.
No? All right, moving on. Item 10, discussion of possible action on a temporary crushing permit for Lemke Stone. Ben, do you want to take this? And I see the applicant is here tonight as well.
Actually, I don't have comments prepared for
No?
this, but I'll just indicate that, I mean, Jason, of course, can talk more about where, the former Morgan Hammer site is part of a plan of operations submittal that'll be going to planning commission at a future meeting here. So the temporary crushing permits are normally held separately from that, so I don't have any other comments.
Okay. Jason, did you have anything?
It's gonna happen in the normal area. Hoping for 2 months maximum. Super Western is doing it. They crushed for us the last time. We didn't have any complaints. They have, you know, water on all their conveyors, so the dust shouldn't be an issue for the housing. I think now is a great time to do it because the weather is crummy and people don't have their windows open and kids typically aren't outside playing during the day, so, yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
So the cold water freeze conditions don't affect, or cold weather, that doesn't affect it?
They pump it out of our sump hole,
Oh, okay.
where our retention water is, so, it's very minimal
Yeah.
water that they use, it's kind of just like a psh,
Miss.
yeah, it's pretty minimal.
Nice. Yeah. Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
What are your hours you would typically be crushing? They would start at 6:30 and they're expected to be done by 4, which I believe our hours of operation are 6 to 5, Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody care to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the application for blasting and or rock crushing permit, issued to Lemke Stone.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the temporary crushing permit for Lemke Stone. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Ben.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Item number 11, discussion and possible action on approval of mid-city contract for 2026. We did get updated pricing. There was a slight price increase that equated to about $100 a month. And for those of you, if you aren't aware, Mid-City is our certified well operator. They've been doing that for the last several years. Doing a good job. Sarah's the bomb. Did you have anything to add?
No.
I think Mid-City was an upgrade for the village.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I didn't have an opportunity to interact very much with CTW, so it's probably not fair for me to pass judgment, but I know working with Sarah, when she was there and here at Mid City, they do an outstanding job, so very responsive.
Well, I will make a motion that the village board approves the contract to Mid-Cities for the 2026 year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, discussion of possible action on approval of manhole repair on Birchwood Drive. As trustee Batiste indicated earlier, we received, or actually Brenda fielded a notification / complaint from a resident that there was a problem up there. He inspected it. Mid City went and inspected it and gave an assessment and a quote. Dan, do you wanna follow up with their findings or basically?
Yeah, essentially that is how the notification came in. I think Sussex was the first to respond and they put a traffic cone over the manhole area to avoid any traffic directly over top of that. What they found is that the pavement around it is depressing, which is what's causing, this incident to occur. So what happened is it was struck during snowplow operations, or believed to have been struck during snowplow operations. With the settling pavement around it, that would happen typically. The manhole itself, the cover itself, is in good condition. They think they can, keep that and reinstall it. The skirting around it that's embedded is what is failed. So the proposal is to saw cut it, break that out, replace it with concrete that's good for this time of year. And then they can embed a new ring into that concrete and hopefully reuse the existing manhole cover. What they're proposing is a T&M, not to exceed of $6,500, which is a small crew to go out there for a day, break that apart, put concrete blankets over it so it doesn't freeze, and then pick it up, clean it up a couple of days later. So.
Thank you very much. And then they'll come out in the spring and redo it with asphalt, right?
They
Think
could,
what's
but I don't,
proposed if we need them to, or?
if there's a need for it, but I don't know that there would be.
Yeah.
I think the concrete, poured correctly would
Okay.
hold up far better.
So I guess what I'm looking for then is motion to authorize either myself or trustee Batiste to execute an agreement allowing Mid City to come out and make the necessary repairs with a not to exceed amount of $6,500.
I make a motion that we accept this bid, authorize Patrick or Dan to approve it. This repair that they proposed seems to be the best way of doing it.
And a not to exceed
Not
$6,500.
to exceed 6,500.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Do we have any other discussion?
Well, I would like to say that, having lived in that area previously for all 30 years, ever since the sewer was put in, that intersection of Davies Court, Davies Drive and Birchwood has had a constant settling problem. So, I don't think this is the last time it's gonna be.
The long-term fix.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it may not be, and it again might be a situation where when and if water main goes in that neighborhood up there, we'll likely be looking at full road reconstructions to fix some of those deficiencies from the original construction, which will hopefully mitigate some of that.
I was just gonna add, the village has kind of adhered to a practice that we learned from the county, which is when a manhole is adjusted or repaired, to repair the pavement at least 10 feet long, like in the traverse direction that you would be driving, and the full lane width wide. This one's pretty unique because it's in the middle of an intersection. You'd almost have to, do the whole intersection, so at some point. I know like Mid-City proposes concrete's the right fix for cold weather conditions, but have to decide. If and what the extent of pavement. Repair, if it's needed further, would be, but. Just want to provide that context.
Okay, so would what would your recommendation be then in regards to that, in terms of? In a couple of months in the spring, would we have have Strand go out and actually survey the site and provide feedback?
Yeah, I don't think a formal survey is required, but maybe it's something like Dan and I could review together or what, and just. To be real direct about it, the thought process behind this practice, kind of to your point, Jim, is. These manholes provide, seams in the concrete that freeze-thaw over time kind of works its thing, so.
Mhm.
The thought is when the sewer repair has to happen, that the sewer be responsible for a certain. Size patch of the roadway to kind of. Make it a more robust. Situation for the pavement,
So you basically do like 100 square foot area, like a 10 by 10 square around the
yeah,
manhole?
it's probably. Yeah, 10 by 12-ish, yep. Yeah, if you're going one lane width.
Oh,
but-
yeah, like-
Yeah, it's so different here because it's in this intersection, it's a pretty wide intersection. Relatively speaking, so.
And there's some other settling issues kind of in that intersection. And so there may be something to it when we go back and look at it in the spring or
Sure.
early summer. Is because I've noticed just to the east of that, kind of right at the east end of the intersection, as well as on the southwest side of the intersection, I think there's some depressions in there. I think, is that about right, Jerry?
That's the culvert we've talked about before,
Yeah,
that needs to be replaced.
yeah.
Also, that manhole we fixed about 10 years ago, I think there's some kind of underground I going on. But we don't want to spend the money to dig it all up, so we just patched it, and I think, as Jim said, it's been going on, I think since it's been built. So wait till the storm, or the sanitary, and then the water, and then dig it up. It's gonna be a major thing, yeah.
It,
Dig it up.
it might be something where. Maybe next time Nicole from Strand is out for a project meeting. We could look at that, and see if there's anything to the culvert or whatever, because if we were just to like add that to the Bonnie Lane. Bid set as like a bid alternate or something like that, could at least get some pricing. If it's to that extent.
Okay,
Well, you say leave it till we put water in, right?
A major repair of digging
Right.
it all up, we just gotta do what we're talking about today.
Do we have any kind of timeline for water?
In the future,
Thank you, but more than that, more precise than that.
we'll ask. That's what we got.
there are, that's gonna depend on a couple of different things. There's some moving parts that would have to fall into place for water in that area up there. And there's no definite answers to that at this point.
See, I was right.
Huh?
I was right.
Well,
It's in the future.
that's what I figured, but I mean, if we're gonna do this portion of it, but leave it until we bring in water, I mean, it sounds like we're gonna end up doing this again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we certainly want to get this to a functional state without expending any excessive amount of funds to repair it. So we want to do a decent, good repair to keep it functional and working for 5 to 8 years. That'd be my rough guess.
Okay.
And if we do that, I think we would be reasonably safe. But it's a judgment call.
And I think as a point of clarification, funding for this would be from the sewer. The sewer budget.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. We had a motion and a second, any other discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll just want to get that going right away. Item 13. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2026-1 authorizing participation and assistance in land use matters. As you are aware, we've had some discussions about integrating municipal code enforcement into some other roles to relieve some time and cost burden by the engineer and potentially the inspector and some other folks. They will likely be the primary attendee for planning commission meetings and doing review work and things of that nature. When that came about, council recommended that we make an amendment via this resolution to our ordinances to clarify that designation of duties. I think that basically sums it up, doesn't it?
Yes, in case they should be challenged in any respect, the goal is to try to resolve these matters and not pursue them to the point of prosecution. However, this resolution will allow coordination in that regard, and if necessary, pursue the matter in municipal court, or if it's a more egregious violation, public safety matter, to pursue it in circuit court. Typically, any effort to enforce at the circuit court level would require, by our informal practice, your knowledge and consent in that regard. And in regards to this resolution, I apologize for my typing on paragraph 2 in the middle of the third letter from the word from the end. It should be proposed rather than purpose and goal.
Proposed. And then I also I noticed that up above when you're identifying them, we have them listed as MCI LLC. Is that their legal designation, or was that intended to be MCE LLC?
Should be MCE, and that was just informally
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's in both
Right.
instances of the whereas.
correct.
Is this modifying an ordinance?
No,
No.
it's just a resolution creating a record that this entity has been authorized in addition to the authorized agents of the village, the police department, the building inspector, to carry out the authority which is already vested through the ordinance, through the language that's been highlighted in terms of assistance or
Got it.
additional individuals.
So the red stuff here is not red line additions, they're simply highlighting of
Exactly.
existing ordinances.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification. Good question, Dan.
Would you like this read into record?
The resolution. Yeah, you want it, do we need to read the whole thing into the record?
No,
No, okay.
it has a resolution number.
Yeah.
And I believe I sent the Word version to the clerk's office, so these two typos can be modified.
Probably already fixed.
No, not technically in the computer yet.
So specifically, what type of authority would the additional resources have?
To approach situations where there appears to be a violation, interact with them. The property owners, you know, pursue a practice of follow-up as they have been doing. And then in the event that there's no response, bring that back to the attention of the board. Seeking or offering a recommendation as to what action should be taken.
So
Yeah, but
limitation would be up to actually issuing a citation?
Right, they will not have the authority to issue a citation.
Right. I think the primary goal, though, is to more notably have them assume more of the duties and responsibilities that have been historically taken care of by the village engineer, which are really more zoning related. Inquiries about properties and acceptable uses, plan of operation submissions and checking them to make sure that they're complete and accurate. Being present at the plan commission in lieu of having engineer Wood here, which represents significant cost savings and less burden to him doing what's probably more busy work than actual engineering. So that's kind of the goal. Obviously, if there's certain engineering things that are being done, Ben would still be here. He would still be the village engineer. He would still be presenting. It would just be less frequently. Initially, in the initial period of time, there will be some coordination between MCE and Ben as he works to hand off duties and examples of workflows, and they've already shared and exchanged some documents, some working documents that Ben uses to track items and things of that nature, so.
Okay, so, and they get paid for time,
Yeah, hourly.
hourly, okay, and how do we verify those hours?
Well, however we want, I guess. I mean, right now, Strand submits the bills to the clerk, and the clerk puts it on here, and
Do we authorize them to spend X amount of time? I know it's in our budget, our 2026 budget. And that was based off of less Ben's time, more of MCE's time.
right. Well, we can have, when they send the billings to Brenda, we can certainly review them on the, the
So like,
finance and personnel.
so are we allocating to a certain amount of time per week, per year?
I had no presumption of that, to be honest. We don't do that with Ben, so I didn't see a reason or a precedent to do it with them.
Okay,
And we have some history with them. I mean, we have engaged them. They're not a completely unknown entity, and I thought that they were extremely fair for the work that they got done when we actually engaged them on a 8 hours per week basis. I don't have a concern.
Ben?
Yeah, if I could cover a few things, starting with the billing or invoicing, so. Strand, we provide a detailed breakdown of task and staff categories by task each month. When we send that, so. I remember in the early days when it was Jerry and Jim. They would review those pretty closely and scrutinize those and kind of question things until we got into kind of a rhythm of we understood the expectations and kind of kept it within the bounds. But those invoice summaries are always available for viewing as part of this, so it's been, in that regard, it's an as needed basis. Some months there's no plan commission items, some months they're bigger meetings, so. But I guess I wanted to take the opportunity to say, both in my capacity as engineer and as a resident, like I advocate for this. I think the village is genuinely gonna get a better level of service out of this. Again, I've said it before, but MC has the ability to fill in that missing piece of follow-up. You know, so many conditions are placed on things here, and I certainly don't follow up with applicants on that, and as we've talked, building inspector and village attorney gotta wait for things to get pretty far out of hand before there's follow-up, so. I think at their rates, and this is kind of their business, that's what they do, I think we'll be pretty effective at that. Let's see, I think they intend to start taking over with attending the meetings, the plan commission meetings, starting in February. The initial thought was January, but it just so happens that Allison's gonna be on vacation that week of the January plan commission meeting. So you'll see me again in a couple weeks. But they'll primarily, what I'm excited about, they'll primarily take over like kind of the first call duties. So just last week, the village received an inquiry of, a general inquiry of, does the village allow tattoo parlors and are there any special requirements? You know, surprise, surprise, it's not explicitly addressed in the zoning code, so normally that's something I would go on a bit of a rabbit hole of trying to figure out exactly how to handle it, and just it's better suited for MCE anyway, so they'll be taking those property inquiries from realtors and residents and businesses about how to handle certain uses, etc. The duties are defined in the zoning code as zoning administrator. So typically the building inspector and I have shared duties in that there's some reviewing authority of the zoning administrator, and then there's enforcement authority of the zoning administrator, and you can imagine that's how we've kind of drawn that line. So in most cases, MCE will take the lead on those zoning administrator type tasks. But typical in other communities where they have a separate full-time planner on staff, the village engineer is still brought in if you have another, you know, Whispering Ridge or Rock Point Village or anything else where there comes a point where true engineering review is involved, then we'll still get brought in on those things, and had that handoff meeting with Allison, and she's used to operating that way in some of the other communities they serve, so I'm optimistic that this is gonna go very well.
One last thing, and not to get too granular,
Yeah,
but as that handover occurs, it would be nice to get a running log of their activities versus a monthly snapshot,
sure.
so. It'd make it a lot easier to understand what is being worked on.
Well, in their previous work with us, they had a Google spreadsheet that they updated as any action they took. They would log the issue, you know, the location, the issue, and then where it was, what they were intending to do. Like they had a Google, it was a live sheet, we could pop into it anytime and we could say, hey, the complaint came in here, this letter was sent on this date, a follow-up was done on this date, and so it was kind of like a live document that helped us see what they were working on.
And who had access to that?
And you dug into that pretty deep.
I did,
The
but had I
spreadsheet.
known there was a Google file available, I probably could have saved me a few hours worth of work.
So the spreadsheet you got, the summary was the working document that they, so you got the one, I think that.
It was just a monthly snapshot of that working document, apparently,
So
As opposed to
Okay.
like the
a
whole.
running log, yeah.
It might have been on a different page. I think there was a summary page. And there's like little tabs across the bottom. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you didn't explore all the tabs?
Well, these are certainly things that when Allison comes to a meeting,
Yeah,
we can put together a list of questions and requests for her so that we can give her a very clear understanding of what our expectations are as we move through this transition, so that there's whatever level of transparency we want. And I would encourage that, and I think she would actually probably appreciate it herself. Just so she's clear on what she's gonna be doing.
Could we also provide them with a map?
A map.
A map of the village streets, because she cannot tell the difference between a private driveway and a street.
Okay. Sure. No. I don't know what that's a reference to, but
That's in reference to the letter that I got that was taken off of Jeannie Crosby's and my property.
okay,
And she told me that Jeannie Crosby's driveway was a village road.
oh, yeah, no,
And I asked, then to follow up on that, I asked her to correct the letter and send it to me,
yeah, okay,
and I never got it.
yep. Okay, that helps, thank you.
Okay, well, if the board would entertain a motion that I'd like to forward to accept resolution number 2026-1, Village of Lannon Resolution authorizing participation and assistance in land use matters, with the corrections of Municipal Code Enforcement LLC being abbreviated as MCE LLC in 2 places, and then also under item number 2, final paragraph, that the village is directing the above assignment of tasks for the proposed goal of reducing costs.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I will second.
Any other discussion?
I guess I would ask if. Why is this necessary? We've been utilizing, the village has been working with municipal code enforcement for a couple of years now. Has this resolution? How are they able to operate for the past couple of years without this resolution? And why is it necessary today moving forward?
I'll let council
Sure.
address that.
Well, in the past, they functioned primarily as an initiator of contacts with apparent violators. And we have not to this day reached a point where they have recommended enforcement action and the village has actually taken enforcement action. I'm looking at the long-term role. If they're going to initiate an investigation, follow up, we should from the very beginning not expose the village to a challenge that what they were doing was without specific authority. That's the purpose here.
Does that satisfy your question, Dan?
Okay, I think so, but they still don't have authority to issue citations.
Correct.
Their only authority is to make recommendations to the village board.
For enforcement matters, but they can carry out the role to a certain extent previously performed by the village engineer in the non-enforcement areas. And also in the enforcement areas, assist the police department, the building inspector in the follow-up area where the village, quite frankly, from my perspective, has not had an effective mechanism. In other words, if someone comes to a plan commission meeting and listens to the plan commission members, I think there will be a notation of frustration because they bring up a number of situations which they feel should be pursued, but the village doesn't really have a designated point person to carry that out.
Yeah, I guess my concern is not with hiring them or signing a contract with them. My concern is what authority are we giving them? The building inspector, he has authority to make recommendations for condemning properties and things of that nature, right? police department has authority to write citations, why are we listing them here and giving them authority, but we're not expecting them? And I guess even if we write this to give them authority today without the expectation that they won't issue citations, what prohibits them from being expected to write citations in the future if we now give them this authority?
Neither they nor the building inspector nor the village engineer have the authority to issue citations. And for better or for worse, in the past, there have been very few, if none, citations issued for non-compliance with zoning requirements. The effort has attempted to pick out major violators, but in terms of the complaints that we've heard at the plan commission level, not enough action has been taken. And so I inferred from the communication that the village engineer was going to be stepping back from a lot of these administrative matters, that the village wants to economize, appropriately so. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if someone is to be prosecuted, we want to make sure that the investigation, the pursuit is in conformity with the requirements of the ordinance, which have been replicated there for you. And this resolution piggybacks on the red highlighted language of the existing ordinance, which we have in place.
Is there a particular authority that you're concerned about that raises this question?
Not today, but what about tomorrow?
Like, I'm just trying to, I'm trying to make sure that we're covering what you're concerned about, so.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, giving all these additional entities authority to represent the village of Lannon at some point. I guess my concern is, I'm not concerned with working with them and with bringing them on as a contractor.
Sure.
The village has been doing that for years, but I guess the authority or conveyed authority, I guess perhaps, while if there's good intentions today, what if the personnel of municipal code enforcement changes down the road, or the intentionality changes behind it? What measures are there to protect the people that live in Lannon, if something were to happen different down the road?
Sure. Well, I think I think we're simply, and my take on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hector, is that we're simply formalizing them as a contracted agent that's going to be performing some historically performed duties. We're specifying that certain administrative activities are now going to be likely handled by a different entity rather than Strand. But I don't think this removes or negates any authority that the village board has in terms of their engagement or employment, and our ability to even terminate that arrangement should we see a concern arise. That's my take, but again, that's a question for.
I can appreciate your concern, perhaps maybe by looking at the last section of the ordinance 78-121, that's section 3C. there we have the authority to pursue prosecution. In the name of the village and with authorization of the village board, commence any legal proceedings necessary to enforce the provisions of this chapter or the building code, including the collection of forfeiture provided for herein. The village board is the gatekeeper here. They can do, from my perspective, everything short of initiating a prosecution, and I think that that's an important protection for the residents, so that we treat everyone in an even-handed fashion.
And given that, is there anything in this resolution then that implicitly gives them or denies them that authority?
Yes, it does. Well, when you say that authority, the authority to bring it to the board, yes. In the first
That
word.
says, yeah, with authorization of the village board, I guess.
Yeah. The first whereas clause, it contains it, basically the delegation. Board of Trustees held a meeting on January 12th tonight. Voted to authorize Municipal Code Enforcement LLC to assist the Lanham Police Department, Building Inspector, and Strand Associates in the administrative enforcement of provisions of the Village of Lanham Code of Ordinances, including but not limited to 78-21. And the ordinance provision that's been distributed to you, which is the ultimate enforcement ordinance 78-21.
121.
Excuse me, 121, excuse me. Does have a section 3C, which says you can go to court, but the village board has got to approve that. In some communities, what they basically do is they delegate the responsibility to the building inspector to go to the village engineer, the village attorney, and initiate an enforcement action. Here, your ordinance reads differently, and it's a good provision. It gives you the ability to know what's going on and to control what's going on, both in terms of equal treatment of people and also controlling costs.
So if I'm understanding correctly, that portion of these of the ordinance then indicates that they would not be treated or have any added authority that hasn't already been vested in Strand, the police department, or the building inspector.
That is correct.
Does that clarify things a bit for you, Dan? Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions arise out of that? No. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, good questions. Item 14, discussion and possible action on payment of the bills. Earlier on, we had a finance personnel committee meeting. We did have a corrected listing of the bills presented to the board, which the finance and personnel committee ultimately moved to recommend payment of, so.
I make a motion that we pay the bills as presented by Brenda on the corrected version that was distributed.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Engineers report?
Real briefly regarding the Jake's Park path. That's been reviewed by the Parks Committee. I did just ask Brenda to put that on the Plan Commission agenda as well.
Good.
So you'll see that next week. And then just checking in with the project team working on Bonnie Lane. They're still targeting bid advertisement in March for that. So that's gonna be progressing along. There'll be a design progress meeting coming up in the near future.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Attorney's report.
I just have one item, as I reported to you last month. We learned that the AFW Foundry property had changed hands. We prepared very elaborate requests that they provide the village with information and submit the necessary information for plan of operation. To date, our office has not heard from any of the parties that we mailed letters to, including the attorney for the transaction. I would like to check with Brenda. Have you heard anything?
We have received documentation. It is on for the plan commission.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
they submitted a plan of operation, for plan commission review.
yes. Can you?
I will forward that to you. I forwarded it on to Ben and Allison, but yes, I will get that to you.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I assumed that they had, gave you a copy as well, but since you sent the
Did it
letter,
show in the letter?
no, they just dropped off a packet for me.
I see. Great. That's the good
Wow.
news.
Yeah, shows you where you rank, huh?
Yeah.
Send a letter. Be fast at that.
You're in the flip up seat of the speedmaker.
There you go.
Hi.
Good. All right, well, thank you for that update. President's report, I cannot think of anything, not coming up with anything. So I will move on to a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.